right, let's come on in. Let's come on in. Come on. Come on, we can do it. All of you, all of you. Good job. I guess he's. Are you going to come in? Come on, please. Come on, everyone. Welcome. Hi. I'm Allie Zirkle, and these are a few of my Alaskan Husky sled dogs. Come on, Violet. Come on. There's one of the main ones. Hi, buddy. And we're here at Husky Homeroom today. We decided that we are going to talk about geography, which is the study of places, right? And since my dogs and I, hi buddy, you're going to sit down. Since my dogs and I live in Alaska, we wanted to know if you want to explore our home with us. What do you say? So first, we're going to learn a few of the fun facts about this great state that we know as the last frontier. And then we're going to look closely at a map of the Earth. We're going to compare Alaska to the rest of the United States and to the rest of the world. Finally, you're back. You're a little tardy. Are you tardy? Finally, we're going to explore a few of the really, really amazing spots in Alaska by dog team. So come on. Alaska's calling. Oh yeah. First of all, let's take a close-up and let's meet two of the teaching assistants for this lesson today. All right. Well, here we are, and we're going to talk about my two teaching assistants today. And the Scout is the redhead on my left, and Nacho is the gray boy on the right here. So, so let's just do a little rundown of these two. Oh, we'll talk about you first, huh? We'll talk about Scout first. And what I always try to do, really, is talk about strengths and weaknesses, because everyone has them. You and I have them, your parents have them, your teachers have them. Everyone has strengths and everyone has weaknesses. And so Scout's strength, what do you think that is, buddy? Scout's strength is that he is incredibly smart. He is one of our smartest dogs. He's run up front in many races. He understands commands. He understands what's happening out there. He's a very intelligent dog. His weakness, he's a grouch. He is a downright grouchy dog. And it's funny because he is known around the entire kennel as the fun police. Aren't you, buddy? He is the fun police. He likes to run around and tell everyone, you can't do that, you can't do that, you're wagging your tail too much. He's a grouch. He really doesn't have any patience for young, silly dogs. So, Scout, you're a good boy. He's 13 years old, a little over 13 years old, and so he's one of our teaching assistants today. The other one, hi. The other one, this is Nacho. Nacho Gray Boy, and he is the oldest dog at our kennel right now. He is 14, almost 14 and a half years old. Okay, you've got to move out of the way. We're talking about Nacho. So Nacho, obviously, he's just gorgeous, isn't he, buddy? He's just gorgeous, 14 and a half, and his strength, I mean, you're going to see it. If you just look at his face, he's always smiling. He is, even when Scout's pushing him out of the way of the camera, you're not part of, we talked about you already. We talked about you. Okay, buddy. So Nacho's strength is his happiness. He's always been happy. You see his tail wagging, you see his smile on his face. He's always been happy. His weakness, now it's kind of interesting because I guess I'm not really sure it's a trait, but I would have to say that his weakness right now is that he's getting older. I mean, he's 14 and a half years old. He looks great. He feels great. He's pretty happy, but he's getting older. And with dogs, sometimes it's kind of sad when dogs get older because they're not able to do what they used to be able to do. But the plus about getting older is that you gain wisdom. So Nacho has been gaining wisdom for 14 and a half years. And what that means is that he's gained knowledge over time, more and more knowledge. And he's understood things. And he puts in the back of his brain. And he just basically becomes a wise old man. And that's why we call him Grandpa Nacho. He's the wise old man of the kennel. Now, both of these guys are you trying to go outside? Both of these guys are champions. They're race champions. They've won races. They've come in second place in races. And actually, one of the neatest things that I can say about these two, which is probably why they're our teaching assistants for geography, is that the combined mileage that these two dogs have raced together over their careers, now they're retired now, but over their careers is over 25,000 miles. Now, keep that number in mind, 25,000 miles, because when we talk later about geography, it is less than 25,000 miles around the globe at the equator. So these two dogs have mushed over the distance of around the globe in their career. So it's pretty phenomenal, isn't it, Scouter? Are you a good boy? He said, if I found a treat. Anyway, let's talk about Alaska geography. You guys ready to go? All right. Let's just talk about a few fun facts. Alaska fun facts. Alaska fun fact number 1. Basically, Alaska became the 49th state in the Union of the United States of America. It became the 49th state. You leaving? It became the 49th state in the year 1959. So, we're almost the last state to join the Union, but I have a little side note question for you. Here's a quiz. What do you think the 50th state and the final state to join the Union was? So, fun fact number 2. The name Alaska, which is kind of a nifty name, it kind of rolls off your tongue, doesn't it? Alaska. That is derived from an Aleut word, Alyeska, which means the great land. And it is a great land, so then the Aleut are native Alaskans from the Aleutian Islands and also from the Alaskan Peninsula. So you can say Alaska or you can say Alyeska, right? No, good boy. All right, fun fact number 3. Alaska is a huge state. You guys know that. I mean, it is enormous when you compare it to the contiguous lower 48 down south. Alaska takes up a very large amount of area. It actually is 665,384 square miles. That's a big state. The other way to measure it is even bigger, and it's in acreage. Alaska has 365 million, buddy, acres. And guess what, Scout? Guess what, buddy? We, Scout, Nacho, and I, live on 10 acres of this 365 million. So we don't really have a very large spot in the state, do we? The other thing that we'll talk about is there are not very many people in Alaska. There are approximately 730,000 humans who live here in Alaska. So here's a little bit of another quiz for you. Since we know how big Alaska is, and we know the population, we can actually calculate the population density. Population density is the measurement of a population per unit area. So that is 730,000 people divided by, what did we say the area was? 665,384 square miles, right? So let's do the math. 1 divided by the other? Well, that looks like it's a little bit over 1 person per square mile. That means it isn't a very densely populated state. It actually means that it's a very, very low density. And here's another quiz. Do you know which of the United States has the highest population density? And can you find out which country in the world has the highest population density? And is Alaska the lowest? Those are all really interesting questions. Fun facts, Nacho. Good boy. All right, fun fact number 4. Alaska has lots of wildlife. Of course, we have lots of dogs who are not wildlife. They're domesticated, right, buddy? But we also have lots of wildlife. When you think about Alaska, you think about bears and you think about moose. You think about eagles and seals. But hey, do you think about caribou? Caribou are pretty interesting animals. They're ungulates. They live all over Alaska, and they actually migrate from Alaska internationally into Canada. Caribou. And guess what Alaska's population of caribou is? It is, in the year 2020, approximately the same as human beings. So, the population density of humans is almost the same as the population density of caribou. Oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. All right, the last fun fact that Nacho, Scout, and myself are pretty happy to share with you, because it's something that we truly, truly have enjoyed throughout our lives, is that the official state sport of Alaska is, guess what? Dog mushing, right, buddy? Good boy. So, dog mashing is our official state sport. Here's a quiz. What do you think the official dog breed of Alaska is? What do you guys think? All right. So those are our 5 fun facts. All right, the next part of the lesson is we're going to actually, the 3 of us, we're going to look at some maps. All right? Where exactly is Alaska? I mean, one of the most realistic ways to find Alaska on the Earth is to look at a globe. Of course, a globe is round, like a ball, and you can see Alaska sitting way up high in the northern regions of that globe. But wait a minute, what do I mean by northern? Okay, globes have grid of imaginary lines. These lines help you find places on the globe. One imaginary line, it's right in the middle, and it's called the equator. It's halfway between the North and the South Pole. The poles are at the bottom and the top, obviously, North Pole, South Pole. The equator divides the Earth into 2 halves. They're called hemispheres. Everything north of the equator, that is the northern hemisphere. We live up there, right, buddy? In the northern hemisphere. It's nice up here in the northern hemisphere. Everything south of the equator is in the southern hemisphere. And guess what? There are Alaskan Huskies who live in the southern hemisphere too. It's pretty neat, isn't it? So I told you earlier that Nacho and Scout have basically run around the Earth at the equator, at least in terms of distance. That distance is the equatorial circumference. That means it's the distance around the Earth at the equator. And guess what? I told you that they had raced 25,000 miles. Well, funny thing, the distance around the equator is 24,901 mile. So they've actually raced farther than the circumference around the Earth at the equator. So the other imaginary lines on a globe, let's check it out again, and on maps, are called latitude and longitude. These lines crisscross, and they look like a grid. The lines are measured in units called degrees. Scout, Nacho, and my home here in Alaska is actually located at latitude 64.955281 north, longitude 145.95897 west. You can actually pinpoint your home, my home, villages, towns all over the world by using latitude and longitude coordinates. You know, globes, they're a great way to see what the Earth looks like. But they're kind of difficult to carry around, right? They can't show you the details of your city and your state. So what happened was people started exploring where they lived, where they traveled, and they started recording more and more information. And as they did that, they noted islands and mountains and bodies of water, and people started using this information and they made more detailed maps and they made them flat because then they could carry them around. So there's a lot of different kind of maps that you can check out where Alaska is and you can compare it to where your home is. Okay, so now that we really know where Alaska is located, right? Both on a globe and all different kinds of maps. Now, I say you, me, and some dogs, we go explore some different spots around Alaska. And let's do it in the winter, and let's do it by dog team. So come on. First place we're going to explore is northern Alaska. It is vast country with few trees and amazing scenery. Check it out.
Well, welcome to Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. We all are standing right now on a riverbed, a frozen riverbed that goes up towards Cloud Peak. And we decided we'd take a little jaunt here and kind of look at the world as in a 360. So as we go around the world, we can look up into the valley of Cloud Peak, but we don't see it. Thus the name is accurate, because it's always in the clouds. It's about an 8,000 foot peak, I believe, plus or minus. And as we head farther over towards the south, you see one big, gorgeous mountain sitting right in the way. That mountain has no name, but it's Allie's special mountain. I love that mountain. It's about 6,000 feet, and it sits in between the Sag River and Cloud Peak drainage. And as you head farther to the south, you'll look back towards the Continental Divide. You'll see some clouds are coming in from the south right now. Then as you kind of look a little bit farther to the southwest, you'll see the mountains. They're very stark and they're sharp, they're steep, they have the black sides. That is the beginning of kind of the Adigan River drainage. Adigan River drainage starts way up at Adigan Pass and it ends after it makes it through Adigan Gorge. Then you're heading due west. Due west, the mountains get a little bit smaller, more rolly, less of the steep sides and top. And as you head northwest, you see it really flattens out. Much of the land and the terrain north and northwest of here is now the flatlands. And that's where predominantly most of the Central Arctic and Western Arctic caribou herd all are headed this spring to do their calving.
The second spot we will explore is our home in interior Alaska. We love to run on the wooded trails in and around our home. The last spot we'll explore by dog team is South Central Alaska. In the winter, after it's been cold for many months,
the river will freeze solid. It then becomes the perfect highway to explore our awesome state. This part of Alaska is wild and rustic. There are many rolling hills, some forests, and lots of lakes and ponds. We really love to mush across South Central Alaska.
All right, so what did we learn? What did we learn in our Alaska geography lesson? What did we learn, Scout? Scout learned a few fun facts, right? We learned a few fun facts about Alaska, but then we also really looked close up. Where is this state located in comparison to the rest of the United States and in comparison to the rest of the world? What does it look like to look at Alaska on a globe? What does it look like to look where Alaska is on a map? And lastly, we got to go explore some really cool places in the last frontier. I hope you guys enjoyed Alaska geography. We sure did here at Husky Homeroom. So, thanks, guys.